Good morning, Bethany. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I get to talk to you about one of my favorite things, which is traveling to the Greek islands and the Aegean Sea and talking about history as well. Um, what a terrific show! And I'm glad that you're able to do this even in this time and of our lives.
Yeah, we were so lucky. So we were filming right the way up until lockdown. I mean, we're just like literally at hours ahead of Europe shutting down. So we just managed to get in there. So we were very, very fortunate. And we kind of, because the idea of this show, as you know, is following Odysseus's trail across the Mediterranean. And because we hadn't want to make it too easy for ourselves, so we thought we wouldn't travel in the summer, we'd travel over the winter. So it was only for that reason that we managed to get it to film before COVID stopped everything. So we feel very, very fortunate.
Is a show like this logistically hard to do from the get-go?
there yeah, my poor head of production always goes, oh my god, why are you going somewhere so dangerous? Because of course, we've got a crew on small wooden boats going across the Mediterranean. We go into live volcanoes. We had an unexpected excitement where we were making this beautiful little sequence about a wonderful old man on a tiny little island called Icaria, which is very traditional and unspoilt, and they don't wear watches, they don't believe in deadlines, and they all live to 90. It's all sort of like heaven. And he travels around the island by boat to gather his honey, and so he's called the Odysseus of honey. But he has these kind of killer bees, so we had this bee attack at one point, which we weren't, this was supposed to be our, like, our relaxing off day rather than dealing with the challenges of the Mediterranean. So there are logistical challenges, but that was really an important part of the reason for doing it. Is, Odysseus's journey is all about challenge. It's all about having unexpected dangers thrown in your path and how you deal with it. So it felt right to have a few of those on our own Odyssey.
Well, and that part of the Aegean Sea that you're in and shooting is also one of the most treacherous pieces of water on the earth.
Yes, I know. I know it is. They even Homer in the Iliad, and his amazing epic poem about the Trojan War, even he describes it. He says that the sea boils and churns like an angry crowd roused by a demagogue. I mean, and we certainly felt like that. So we were traveling for 7 hours at night. A storm whipped up, so there were kind of 90-kilometer-an-hour winds, 6-meter high waves, and we were on a tiny, tiny boat, literally like vertical to the sea. But what was amazing? Well, two things. One is, the cameraman and I were the only people on board not throwing up. I'm just saying, even the ship's crew were like over the side. But also on that whole journey, dolphins came with us, and it really felt like they were accompanying us and checking we were safe. It was a really, really magical thing. So we had dolphins a lot because we were sailing, but they just traveled with us the whole route, which was very, very, very special and unforgettable.
As a historian, for all of the advances that we've had in life since the Iliad and the Odyssey, life on the Aegean and in Greece really hasn't changed that much, has it?
Well, the good stuff hasn't changed. So the kind of belief in, family and bravery and living a simple life and being a pursuit of happiness, that hasn't changed. You're absolutely right. And a lot of it, people live very, very simply in some of those Greek islands. It's very seasonal. At winter, they just kind of lock up and shut down. I had an amazing time on the island of Crete with this wild cheese making priest who kind of looks after his human flock. In the evenings, in the mornings, he goes out with his actual his flock of sheep, and makes cheese in this beautiful traditional hut, and sings. He turns his whole day into poetry, so he sings poems about how his day has gone. I mean, so all of that, it did feel very, very timeless. And I learned a lot. I learned that home is where love is. You realize it doesn't really matter where your home is, but home is where your loved ones are. And that was certainly the case for Odysseus and his heroes traveling back from Troy. And it also really taught me about, there's a very beautiful Greek word in modern Greek and ancient Greek called xenia, which is guest host friendship. And it's where we get the word xenophobic, which is the bad version of it, when we're afraid of strangers. And xenia is this idea that you should always offer hospitality to strangers who cross your threshold, because they might need your help. And oh my goodness, we were offered xenia to the power of X on the journey. So at one point, when we finally get back to Odysseus's island of Ithaca, there was an earthquake. I mean, a massive earthquake. And it was like, you know, the god Poseidon, the god of earthquakes, was still chasing us down, just as he chased Odysseus down throughout his whole epic voyage. And even though buildings had been damaged, the next morning, you know, the Greek grandmother who made us fresh milk pies for breakfast every morning still turned up through the earthquake damage with the fresh milk pies, because she kind of said, you know, to live is to fight, and if we give up fighting, we give up living. You know, that was an amazing, a very humbling and amazing thing to witness.
Bethany, it's a pleasure to meet you virtually and chat with you. I love going to Greece. You know, the Greeks were so far advanced.
Amazing. You know, we're talking centuries and thousands of years ago, and they did engineering and created jewelry and, you know, stuff that we couldn't even kind of begin to imagine today. So they're an impressive and a really impressive culture, and it's a privilege to be up close and personal to their story.
Well, keep traveling and keep turning in these marvelous, marvelous shows. The Smithsonian Channel is a great place to watch this. Bethany, thank you so much.
Total pleasure. Total pleasure. Be safe and chat again when I've done the next adventure.
This celebrity interview is sponsored by...
I'm Annette Civarella with Pia Anderson Moss Hoyt, Utah's leading entertainment law firm, serving clients nationwide. We provide solid, attentive representation focusing on minimizing risk, reducing cost, and protecting the reputation and privacy of our clients. Our goal is to provide you with the legal representation you need to make the right decisions and to protect you and your creative works. Call or email me for a free consultation.